What up, everybody? My name is Tyler Tarver. Thank you guys for joining us at Education Academy. We're gonna learn some stuff today. Yeah, that's what's up. I have got the privilege of being joined by Dr. Sam Fecich. Did I say it right?
Totally. You're good to go.
First try. First try. I didn't even ask her how to pronounce it. I'm kidding. I did, and she was very courteous. So, Sam, if you would, just kind of give people a little bit of a description of what you spend your time doing and a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So thank you so much for having me here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm hyped. You can tell.
Yeah, so our voice levels are getting higher and higher.
That's good.
Yeah.
I want us to literally end this thing screaming at each other. That would be great.
So I'm Sam Fecich, and I have the honor of teaching future educators on a daily basis here at Grove City College. I teach courses related to educational technology for all ed majors in different content areas, so pre-K to 12, and then all their different subject areas as well. And then I also teach an Intro to Exceptional Learners and Intro to Special Education course for all majors too. So it's a lot of fun. The world of ed tech and special ed, they just blend so beautifully together, and it's a lot of fun to teach those courses and learn about the different technologies, not only that can help our students with special needs, but actually help all of our students in our class, thrive in the classroom. I also have the privilege of teaching and working with our student teachers. So I get to see them as freshmen in ed tech and exceptional learners and move it all the way up to senior level and see them in the classroom rocking it and taking names every day. So it is a lot of fun to see how they've grown and applied their knowledge from all the courses here at the college to rocking it in student teaching. So I have a really fun job.
That's awesome. Okay, so it's cool because you are in like the worlds that I'm in, and so it's like I'm real passionate about the stuff that you're doing. So I got a lot of questions, but I guess I'll start in chronological order of what you mentioned. So let's start with you talked about educational technology. Meeting the world of special education where students might need something different than the normal classroom. And so I just a little glimpse at some years of my life. I taught high school math, but in that it was like some inclusion classes, so different learning styles and how they learn. And I think that that's the unique thing is that so many learners, because a teacher has to teach 20 or 30 students at one time, it's not that students necessarily learn faster or slower, which there are levels, but the main thing is how they learn. And so like there's a way a teacher teaches that some students are going to learn really fast with, whereas if another teacher, they could learn really fast as well. It's just taught differently. Like it changes based on the styles. And I love technology, and I'm just rambling now. I love technology and how it can differentiate. Can you tell us a little bit about some things either you've done or taught people to do or seen people use with regards to using technology and education in like a special education environment?
Yeah, I'd love to. So just this past Wednesday, we had Mike Tolspin from Microsoft join us, and he showed us immersive reader and learning tools that Microsoft they've been running with accessibility options that are free for all of our students, for all students and teachers, and then they're not device specific, so they can be used on iOS, Mac, PC, tablet, phones, all that jazz.
Yeah.
So immersive reader is this really cool tool. What's really neat about it is so we can do you can pull in any of your text that you have students reading, and you can have it read aloud. Because as a former special ed teacher, I had to go and I had to purchase all these different software pieces to meet my students' needs. But now that it's free and accessible across any device, this is a true game changer for education. So this has been a real game changer in education, specifically for special education. But this helps all of our students because every student's screen might look a little bit different, but it's attuned to their own learning tool. And I just think this is amazing. And it's embedded within so many of Microsoft's tools. And it's free and it's amazing. And I think this is so cool. So if I had this when I was teaching, I'd be using this daily with my students. It is incredible. Another one that I use with my exceptional learners class is Board Maker. And that's a really fun tool because it helps students create visual schedules or calendars for our students with autism who may need some help with communication. It can also be used, to adapt reading level, like when she's reading a passage, they can have the symbols there to help support them in their reading instruction. So that's a really cool one as well. So yeah,
That's
hope that
awesome.
answered your question. But,
No, that was perfect. That was great. Thank you.
great.
So how did you get into teaching originally, like teaching in general? Was it like always what you wanted to do, or was it something you kind of found yourself doing?
I think just having experiences, I think I have that typical answer of, you have these experiences throughout life that kind of guide you toward what you want to do. And as a teenager, doing all those camps and Sunday school and all that stuff,
Oh yeah.
you're like, oh, I kind of like this. But I never thought I'd be a special ed teacher. Like I went to school like, I'm going to be a first grade teacher, and that's all I'm going to be. And I'm going to retire, and I'm going to work to do that for so many years, and it'll be wonderful and awesome. Well, like 20-year-old Sammy had no idea what she was talking about. Because so my dad called me one day and he goes, hey, Sammy, I think you should get a special ed certification. I was like, Dad, I'm never going to teach special ed. No way. Well, it turns out Dad was right. And, first job was teaching students with multiple disabilities. And it was incredible. I loved that job. I was the teacher that pulled the smartboard out of the closet because at the time smartboards were on wheels. They were mounted to walls. And we used it every day in our class for like literacy and numbers and morning meeting. And it was just so cool to see their eyes light up and have some independence in choosing and doing things in the classroom. And then from there, it just rolled into ed tech because teachers found, well, if STEM students can use technology, surely everyone else can too. Of course they can. Anybody can. So did some coaching with that, and then, stumbled into a PhD, and now I'm here teaching future teachers, and it's a great job. I really enjoy it.
I love it.
So that was the long and short of it.
You get the cool experience of watching students through their 4 years of, essentially training for this job as a teacher. What what advice do you have, or what do you see, or insights do you have about young college students that are geared towards education?
Sure. So, and this is what I talk a lot about in the book, but I wrote a book saying, if I could go back in time and tell 20-year-old Sammy to do these things, I would do these things. But so like one of the things is in your general life classes, don't go with the mindset of, I'm never going to use this. This is all busy work. You have to have the mindset of, well, okay, so if I'm not going to be teaching this content to my students, maybe it's the Civil War, I'm not teaching the Civil War, that's okay. But you can look for other things in the classroom that the professor is doing, like pedagogy or group projects or looking at a rubric. Or if you are teaching, for example, the Civil War to your students, how would you teach it? How would you do it differently? How could you integrate technology to make that a little bit more engaging for our students? If the professor is using some other sort of method, what would you do differently? So looking for the meaning in how people are teaching, I think, is really important. And then, like, for assignments, I know maybe you probably had assignments in college where the professor's like, oh, write a lesson plan about XYZ topic and hand it in to me, and then I'll grade it and hand it back to you. And I remember doing those in college thinking, I'm never going to need this lesson plan. I'm never going to need this unit plan. Instead of having that mindset, today we have a PLN, we have Twitter, we have Instagram with teachers that just want to help us, and they're practicing educators. So I encourage students to go out, find a practicing teacher for an educator in your field, in your subject area, in the state that you want to teach, in the grade band that you want to explore, and say, hey, you know what, I'm a pre-service teacher, and I have to write a lesson plan about third grade math, and I see you're a third grade math teacher. Is there any way I can like Skype in or Google Hangout, or maybe you can give me like a topic that you're working on next week, and I want to try writing a lesson plan for you, and maybe I can guess. I don't know. Go out there. Why not?
Yeah.
People want to help. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Just, try things. Don't be afraid to be told no. Like one of the best pieces of advice.
That's the worst that could happen. They could say, no, leave me alone, and then like you.
Or ignore. Yeah, that's it. And that's what I remember. One of the best pieces of advice I got. This guy told me, I was talking about, I want to do this, but I don't think he'll say yes. He goes, don't say no for him. Let them tell you no. And I love that mentality. And I think so many educators, they see, because we're so trained as people that are, good at school, is you pass or you fail. A no is a fail. And so it's like, we're so afraid to hear that no. And so I love it. I hosted a conference a couple summers ago, and, I'm, asking for, hey, anybody want to teach any, breakouts or anything like that? And this one young lady came in and she was like, yeah, I would love to teach. And I got like, when I was talking to her, I was like, so where do you teach? She says, well, I don't teach. I'm actually a junior in college. And she went up there, stood up and taught these like experienced educators. Like it's terrifying. I would have been well, I say that I might have been too dumb to know to be terrified, but like because teachers, we're judgmental creatures, and especially when you're doing the job we think we can do better. Like it's scary, but she killed it, and it was. And I told them, I actually announced it from like at the opener I was telling them about, here are a couple sessions, and I go, and here's this session, and she is currently still in school, so if you guys need a teacher in a year or two, she's going to be an English teacher and you should check her out. Like I was like, seriously, that's like pretty much her interviewing for a job if they walked in there. So that was really cool. Yeah, and that's what you're talking about. Take chances, and I think that's cool. Get experience where you can. That's so cool.
Don't just like go in the mindset of a class like, I need to get the A. How do I get the A? Show me how to get the A.
Yes.
You know? Like go beyond that and really think through, what am I learning here? How is it going to impact me as a teacher? How is it going to impact my students? Yep. But don't just go in for the A. Go for the learning.
I love it. Okay, so my next question, because when you taught, what grade level did you teach when you taught in public?
I taught middle school-ish students with multiple disabilities, K to 5 to 21, and in my classroom I had students, I think they were like 11 to about 15 years old, and it was an amazing class. Do you want me to tell you a little bit more about it, or like?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So like a lot of their needs were communication needs, hygiene, daily living, literacy, numeracy, lots of independent living goals, because at that age we're starting to try to transition into adulthood, where some things we need to work on to be independent people. So those are some things that we worked on in that class, and it was a lot of fun. That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I actually got the opportunity when I was in college. I got to work at it was a daycare for children with disabilities, and I loved it. It was so it was mostly like 3 to 5 year olds, and that's just like the perfect age range. It's like they can talk and they can take care of themselves enough, but they're still like, "Hey, you want to race that wall?" They're like, "Yeah," and they just run to a wall. Like that is I love that job. That was incredible. It was like the best college job ever.
That was like an awesome college job.
It really was. I was lucky to get it, because I'm I didn't deserve to be in a room with people that are doing the cool stuff they were doing. So it was fun. Okay, so you mentioned earlier, you talked about like different PLNs, people on Twitter, sharing. I think we share the experience of working with in like in the realm of like K-12 education, and then the college realm as well. I would love to get your thoughts on, what do you think about the not accessibility, but the willingness to share resources with regards to like K-12 teachers, especially like on Twitter and, what people are putting out on their blogs, versus college teachers and what they're doing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I find that K-12 teachers, there's a lot of them on Twitter and Instagram that are always sharing great ideas, encouraging one another, supporting each other. I think finding someone in higher ed is a little more of a niche market. So you really have to look for somebody who's maybe teaching a similar course as you, or maybe for me it'd be in an education department. But I usually reach out to them through a direct message, and I've made amazing contacts through direct. I just get random DMs like, "Hey, hi, how's it going?"
That's good. That's how we connected.
That's how we roll.
That's how we do business. That's good.
Yes. So I find that having that connection is so important, because we can share syllabus, we can share ideas, we can share strategies, things that are working well for your college course, maybe share some tools that we're using, because there's I feel like we always have to have a plethora of tools, because you never know what's going to work for our students. So having a variety, so you know what to grab when, is important. And I just made a connection last week. I saw a professor who's using Twitter for her online course. I think she's in New Mexico. And I saw like one of her students randomly followed me. So then I went and found the professor, found their class hashtag, and I responded to every single one of their student tweets about whatever question they were talking about. I think it was like teaching superpowers. And I went in and I made sure I responded. I know what it's like to have students out there on Twitter, and they're asking questions and no one's responding. So I tried to go back, give back a little bit there and respond to each of them.
That's
then
awesome.
I reached out to the professor individually, said, "Hey, I really love what you're doing. Would love to collaborate." So yeah, from there, pretty cool.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
But I think it's harder to find people in higher ed on Twitter. What do you think?
I've noticed, and again, it may just be like the worlds I'm in. it feels like people are more protective of what they create, the resources they make in higher ed. And you know, I understand copyright. You know, I say I understand. I understand that copyright's a thing. But like I've always been like, hey, I made this, you know, Google form, or I made this, I wrote this, or made this template, and here, have it if you want. Make a copy, it's yours. And it feels like, you know, there's not every teacher, but there are several like teachers that like they feel like I've developed this curriculum or this syllabus or whatever over, you know, 10, 20 years, and like it's mine and it's going to live and die with me. And so, and again, you see that in public ed. Like we see that too. There are teachers that, you know, you have a brand new teacher and you got teachers been there 30 years, a 30, you know, year vet is incredible. And they retire and they take all their 3-ring binders with them. And you're like, oh, I want to pass that on to a new teacher. But they're like, no, I want it to go to my house until, you know, I hand it off to my grandkids. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to thumb through your 3-ring binders. But it's just like, I don't know. I love sharing because I feel like it makes us all better instead of these silos. And I mean, they're everywhere. It's just, I just wanted to get your thoughts on where you saw it as well. But yeah, and you're right. You got to find, it's like you got to be more targeted with higher ed because of how specific it is. Whereas like education, it's like you hit a hashtag and you're like, oh, cool, resources. And so there they are. They're all mine. They're mine now. And no, I'm just kidding.
Give me all the stuff.
Give me all of your stuff. I try to give people, like if I use a resource and then like elaborate on it and then I share it, I always try to be real careful about, and I'm not the best at it, but I try to be good about saying, hey, I got this from this person originally. Like give them credit as well.
Oh, absolutely. You got to give credit where credit's due. Hey, I worked from this template. I got this idea from this person. This is how I did it a little bit differently in my class, and these are the results, or whatever it may be. And I tell my students all the time, don't recreate the wheel. Somebody else did it. Just adapt it for your own needs. Edit it, tweak it, you know, whatever you need to do, and then give credit to whoever created it.
Absolutely. Speaking of giving credit, you wrote a book. Talk to me about the book, EDU Magic or Edu-Magic. How do you say it? Because whenever you combine Edu-Magic.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's pretty cool. It rolls off the tongue real nice.
That's good. It's smooth.
Yeah. So the book is really cool. You know, I feel like I'm a little biased though, but yeah, it's okay. So it's all about how pre-cert teachers, future educators, teacher trainees, however you want to phrase them, they all kind of the future of education can really rock their college career so they can hit the ground running first year. So it talks about building that digital presence now while in college because, you know, administrators want to find you. They're going to Google you. You should have a positive professional presence online. You should be like spreading breadcrumbs of awesomeness throughout the internet. You know, why not start now? Whether it be like a bulletin board or a really cool manipulative you did or something, there's something you can post. Always something you post. Building a digital portfolio to house all the edu awesomeness that you do. Because it's nice to have it in one spot, and then you can post that, have it on your Twitter bio, have it on your Instagram bio, LinkedIn, throw a QR code on that resume with your digital portfolio. Maybe somebody will look at it. I've had students who graduated who have gotten jobs because of their digital portfolio that they've pushed out and they've advertised through social media, which is awesome to hear.
Yes.
It's also really good to say that in like the first week of class, like, hey guys, this thing you're going to make your freshman year, people have gotten jobs because of it, so you should do that. It talks about that idea of reaching out to a professional in the field who's in that student's content area or subject area and finding a virtual co-op, because we talk about how cooperating teachers we're limited by time, we're limited by if we can drive or not, or if there's a school within walking distance. But Twitter and Instagram, we have the world at our fingertips, so why not use that? So it talks about finding connections through having a virtual co-op and making it your own type of experience, so you can do that. And then, of course, using technology, you know, where it fits, where it engaged, not just using it because it's shiny and cool, but actually having like meaning behind it and authenticity.
That's good.
And then there's other stuff in there too, but yeah.
So what you're saying is everyone should go buy it. Everyone.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. What's fun about it is it has like stories from actual pre-service teachers. So I say my little spiel about it, and then like a pre-service teacher like says, yeah, this is what I did to show growth mindset, or this is how I use Nearpod to engage and enhance my lesson for students. So that's what I really like about it. And then it has like at the end of each chapter, like practical things. Okay, you're like, all right, Sam, I read all this stuff. Now I'm going to do. Okay, well, actually, there's actually a so now what section. So you're like actual things you can do to do this thing that this other person did. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a really quick, easy read, and it's on Amazon.
That's awesome. Love it. So get it. Everybody go get it.
Yeah.
Buy 2 of them just in case.
Yeah, right.
That's what they
Give
should
one to
do.
a friend. Give one to a student teacher friend.
Oh, that's such a good idea. Because then nobody wants to give their stuff because they want like a big library. Look at that. See? Look at all those
I
books.
was going to say, I am really jealous about your library. My library is on the other side of the screen. It has like one shelf of books. It's very sad.
Come on. I think what I do. Okay, I'll tell you my secret. Or this is not a secret. So one year I was driving a lot for work, and so I listened to like 40 books. I'm sorry. I just learned to talk today. I listened to like 40 books on audiobook, and that's cool, and I love it because I was able to do it while I was driving, 2 things at once. But the problem was I couldn't show anybody how incredibly smart I was now.
Look how much I read.
Yes, and so now what I did was I would I'll tell you this: Goodwills and yard sales. If you ever bounce into those, you walk to the book section and you're like, "Oh, cool! There's that book I heard on audiobook. You buy it for $1, put it on your shelf. Never opened it, but I read it, kinda.
Yeah.
It was read to me by the author.
Yeah, absolutely, you read it.
Exactly. That's the trick. That's the trick.
And I love the mug collection you got going on there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a problem. I need to stop. Like I've tried to wean myself off of it, but it's that mug life. You got that mug life. And that's what
I feel like there's a support group for us mug lovers,
Yes.
Also, I have to ask you, what is the gold thing behind your head? Like, it's right back there.
This?
What is that?
This little guy?
Yeah, that. Yeah.
This is a replica of the 2018 NBA Championship of the Golden State Warriors.
I would never guessed that exact thing.
Well, it's okay. I don't think most would have. One of the guys I work with, he went to a game, and it was like replica night, and they gave them these for them winning it, and he knows I'm a big fan. And so my boy hooked me up. So
Nice.
this is worth a lot of money. It's actually a real trophy. It's not true. It's a little bitty. But yeah, it's shiny. I didn't realize how shiny it was. But yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I have a lot of rando stuff up there. I need to probably, I say trim it out. I won't.
No, I think it looks good.
Yeah.
It reflects your life.
That's, you know what? That's right. Putting that personality out there. It's like that teacher shelf that you have when you're a teacher. It's like the shelf behind your desk that has like stuff students have given you over the years that they've made, and then photos of kids that graduated like 12 years ago. And you're like, I need to update my picture wall. And so,
you have the mullet photos,
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. So good. Okay. So, I was looking at a lot of the stuff you do. And I think one of the cool things, and it's becoming more and more relevant. I've been in some uncomfortable meetings with teachers to try to talk about this stuff. You talk about, and not just from like someone that's preparing to apply for a teaching job, but for current teachers. Do you have any advice for them with regards to their digital presence, as far as, anything from looking like you should have a job in education and also reaching out to show that you excel in your areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I when I tell this to my students, I tell them you don't want to be too extreme. You don't want to have extreme views on anything. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure to pass the grandma rule. Unless your grandma's like really wild, then maybe not. But you want your grandma to see what you're posting. And posting doesn't just mean your original content that you're creating, but what you're liking, what you're commenting on, what you're replying to. Are you actually going to go to those links to make sure that they're credible stuff? Because if you retweet or repost, that's a representation of you as well. Mm-hmm. You want to look professionally dressed, and you don't want pictures of you with red Solo cups, pretty much. Or blue ones,
my goodness, there's so many. I feel like every legal thing I go to for don't do this in education, it's always 8 pictures of people with those red cups.
Yeah. I mean, it might be Kool-Aid, but maybe not. So don't take a picture. Just put it down and then take a picture.
Somebody country music guy wrote a song about it, so now it's got a negative connotation.
It does.
It's like I can't put my ice water in a red cup. It's crazy.
Yeah. No.
I'm sorry. Keep going.
But some things you want to put out there are things if you're in college, if you're a pre-service teacher, things you're learning about in class, maybe takeaways that you want to tweet out. If you went to a professional development workshop, or if you attended a webinar, or if you went to a conference or an ed camp, post, because you want to have stuff out there that's relevant and up to date. So if you have an account that maybe you created freshman year, and you haven't touched it since you were a senior, post some dust off of it, start to update it, get some stuff out there. Maybe you want to post a link to something that you have on Teachers Pay Teachers, or like a bulletin board that you rock that students are interacting with. Post pictures of, I like to post pictures of students' hands doing things. So you're not doing the face, but actually doing something. And then if you have pictures of students, making sure that you have those correct permissions from the parents and from the school as well. Because it's just post a willy-nilly. That's not cool. No. No, not
Oh, cool.
What else? I don't know, things that you're reading, things that you're doing. If you found a really cool Edutopia or EdWeek article, not just retweeting the link, but retweeting what you thought about it with
That's
some relative
good.
hashtags. I don't know, maybe even like ask to guest post somewhere. I think that'd be really awesome too. So you start building that digital presence, that professional writing piece. I just had a student who did a podcast with me like 3 weeks ago, was contacted by someone to do a guest post on his blog. So I thought that was really neat, starting to get yourself out there, and then of course sharing that information out too. So yeah, so whatever you do, sharing is caring. You need to share it out and spread it wide and far.
That's awesome. Yeah, because they will research. I've interviewed a ton, and first thing we do, you see the name, we're interested, we check out their social media.
Yes, and that's the first thing that comes up on those Google searches is your social media. So you want to be positive, you want to be professional, and that'd be good.
Exactly. Bada bing, bada boom. That's good. That's good. Okay, so thank you. I know I've used up a lot of your time. I think I've gone well over my 20 minutes promise at the beginning. If someone wanted to listen, we've talked about your book. You told them it's on Amazon, and it's EDU Magic, all one word, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Search that in Amazon, and you can find Sam's book. Is there any other places they can find you, read stuff you've written, hear stuff you've said, see paintings you've drawn, whatever? Where should people go?
Things that I've drawn, but yeah, totally. So if you go to sfecich.com, you can find, there's my site there, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, sfecich, simple, and obviously subscribe to this YouTube channel because cityfilm.com.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, that's awesome. Thank you for the plug. Oh my goodness.
My pleasure.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to put those links in the description. So if you guys want to check that out, if you're watching on YouTube, the links are in the description. If you're watching on, or not say watching, I guess you could watch the podcast as the time clicks by. If you're listening on the podcast, they probably won't be in the description, but you heard her say it. So type it in to your cell phone, not while you're driving. So that's great. Sam, thank you so much for being on here. And thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, do whatever the internet people do. Thank you guys, and see you guys next time. Peace.